Uh, Wes, you guys played them tight in the first. What was the main difference in the second half there?
I think they picked it up on both ends. They were aggressive. They're a really good team. We allowed our defense to kind of anchor us in the first half. Didn't score well. We only scored 51 points. The offensive woes, I thought, in the third, we had that stretch where trading baskets, we weren't really getting stops. We had the turnover from out of bounds, and it just, down 3, the turnover, and that just got them going. I thought we kind of let go of the rope defensively, and it just ignited their offense.
With your guards, KCP, Beal, and Spencer tonight, slow starts for all of them. It didn't look like it was just shots that weren't going in, but what did you see from those guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's bottom line, we all have to be better. From the start, we can't afford to think we can ease our way into games, especially against a team like this. They're elite offensively, and they're a very talented defensive team. So that was kind of the messaging going forward. Let's set the tone, and I don't think we did that.
I know it's kind of hard to ask, but why do you think if that is the mentality, we can't ease ourselves in games, why do you think that's lingered until now?
That's a good question. I mean, we've been searching for a while, honestly. And that hasn't always been the case, but we, play well, start games well, then we have these lulls. So we got to figure it out. And it's, I'm not saying we, I got to do a better job of trying to find a way to help them. But we also have to make sure that, game starts, we're ready to play, we're ready to go, and understand who we're playing and what that may bring.
What can you guys do to combat the size and the pick and roll that a team like this has with Gobert and Whiteside?
It's a problem. I mean, we did a little bit of everything, trying to be up, be down, be dropping, try to play it 2-on-2. We switched. The fear of the 3 is really kind of what distorts a lot of that. And they scored a bunch of points in the paint in the second half. I think 40 in the paint, but because they stretch you out, you want to kind of try and limit the scramble situations and the live ball closeouts. You want to be down the floor and hopefully enticing some of those tough contested mid-range 2s. But they're used to the team's guarding. That big gets behind you, and they're athletically and their length and size. They're just on the rim.
Speaking of threes, you had Davis and Corey both start out 2 for 2. It's the first time this year they both made multiple threes, and then they were 0 from 4-3 from there. What did they take those guys out of the game, or do you think you guys could have done a better job of finding the looks?
I think both. They're going to try and top lock, keep those shooters from coming up the floor. They did it all night to Brad. But yeah, we got to find ways to, once those guys get going, to keep them going. Sometimes it sounds easier than it is, but when they're able to generate open shots and you see them go in, we got to stay with that.
And after the last game, Brad said that he needs to cut down his turnovers. He had 6 of them tonight. What's your take on just his turnover issues this year?
I mean, he's aware of it. I mean, we've talked about it. I think some of them are, the pressure that teams put on him. They double him, they hit, they blitz, but, sometimes it's just, I think sometimes careless. Sometimes it's playing in a crowd, trying to over dribble, do too much. And it's not because he's selfish. He's trying to make a play. He's trying to get himself going. He's trying to get us going. At times it's tough because team's going to key in on him. They're going to shrink and show multiple bodies.
Hey, Coach, I know we talked about this the other day, but the team started off, 10-3, a really strong record. And lately there have been more losses, I guess. What is the identity of the team right now? It's
not where it should be, honestly. We have to get back to, playing, at that pace, the level of physicality, the attention to detail, the focus, the purpose, and all those things you can't, quantify them. But when you watch those games, you watch the film and how we played is different. I've said it before. I think our offense has been good at times during this stretch where we haven't played great, and we've kind of let go of some of the defensive, presence that we had early in the year. That was our anchor, and we have to find a way to get back to that.
Josh?
Wes, right up through, I guess, the early part of the fourth quarter, it seemed like your team had taken a relatively low number of threes. relative to what they attempted earlier in the year. Are you happy or with the shot selection in terms of taking fewer threes?
No, not really. I mean, some of it is the way teams are guarding us. You know, teams that where the bigs are down in pick and rolls, they're dropping. So they're not tagging. There's no need to tag. So they want to entice you into those mid-range pull-ups, or you got to make a play at the rim. So some of it is coverage. You know, the quick catch and shoots at times we saw tonight. It was efficient for us, but I don't know if you can live with that. You know, moving them from side to side, attacking, getting more paint threes, the driving kicks threes, those type, you know, 3-pointers. I think those are more the efficient type, and those are the ones I thought we were generating earlier in the year.
Thank you.
Neil?
Hey, Coach, when you guys have your offensive lulls, do you think that's a byproduct of you guys have not put in your full system yet and teams are able to catch on to, you know, the limited amount of plays you have? Or do you think it's a matter of, you know, the team still getting accustomed to it and maybe the complexity of your system is hurting them at times?
No, I mean, we've actually dumbed it down. You know, part of that's because we're trying to get guys up to speed. We're playing other guys out of position. And the thought process is less is more. Let's really get good at, you know, executing certain things. And we haven't done that. So that's part of the issue. You know, some of it is our attention to detail. Against a good defensive teams, we can't just walk into setups. There has to be a change of pace. There has to be a little bit more timing and purpose. We have to screen bodies. We have to do a better job with our physicality on the offensive end. And then, you know, when we do come on the floor after timeout, we can't blow those plays. We have to understand what we're looking to do. All 5 guys have to be locked in, and at times we're not. So, you know, you couple all those things together and you start seeing some of those lulls that you were talking about.
With some of the issues seemingly becoming thematic, who are the people in the locker room that are, you know, doing that self-policing that was so talked about early on in the season?
It's the same guys. I mean, you know, whether it's Trez, Brad, you know, obviously Kyle, all those guys at some point, you know, and we need more of it. I mean, I think it's, you know, it starts with them being more accountable to each other, but also holding each other accountable.
Thanks, Coach.
Last question to Wayne.
How you doing, Coach? Essentially, Joel, Isaiah, and Cash has pretty much played 2 games today. Can you see that confidence translating for them?
Well, I think anytime they're able to get live reps, it's good for them. You know, to be part of this, I think is great. They're young guys, so, you know, playing 2 games is, you know, it's not the end of the world. I think it's probably good for them. But the more reps we can get, you know, in our system, that commonality and synergy, I think it'll benefit them greatly. At some point, you know, we hope they'll take that transition and be part of us, you know, on a full-time basis. So time will tell. But anytime they have opportunity to play, I think it's good.
And lastly, Coach, you have a lot of road games coming up. Can a trip like this bring a team together and see what you're really made of?
Sure. I mean, I think anytime you're on the road, it's your group. That's it. You know, it's just kind of that us against the world mentality. And I'm hoping that we pull together and find a way to attack these road games with the right mindset. They're winnable. We have some tough opponents. There's no doubt. But we've played against you know, high-level opponents and we played well. So there's no excuse for us not to approach it that way. It's a good opportunity for us. And we know this month has been, you know, a grind. We're in the middle of a 17-game, 31-day stretch. So, you know, the mental fatigue, physical fatigue, you know, being out on the road, home for a couple of days and back out, it's life in the NBA. Nobody cares. Nobody's feeling sorry for us. So we got to find a way to pull it together and right the ship.
Thank you, Coach.
That's it, Coach. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate your time.
Come on, man.
What do you think was the main difference? Are we ready to go? Okay.
Okay.
What do you think is the main difference from first to the second half tonight?
Yeah, I can't really put a finger on it. I mean, we had a great first half and kind of came out, let go of the rope in the second. It was a bit tough, shots weren't falling and stuff. So pretty sure it was a lot of guys that was kind of frustrated with that. And it just kind of fell apart from there, something that we could have easily fixed. But at the time, there was a lot of frustration out there. Guys weren't hitting shots. So, it happens.
What was their defense doing to make it hard on you? I know you kind of scored a lot in the paint, but especially in the second half, it seemed like that's where they won it.
Really just making us uncomfortable, speeding us up and making us do things that we don't normally do, putting a lot of pressure on Brad, keeping like the main guys that do scoring on the floor, in a bind to really just, I would say, get into the flow, trying to make guys uncomfortable and keep them from doing the things that they usually do. It kept us from playing, as a team. There's a lot of things that happened out there on the floor. We turned the ball over, there was a lot of times where shots weren't falling. Like I said, it was a lot of frustration. And at the end of the day, it was just a lot of frustration out there on the floor for sure.
How are teams attacking your defense differently now than they did earlier this season?
I mean, I really can't even put a finger on that. The things that I see, it's a lot of times where guys get downhill and they draw attention from me with, trying to go protect the rim and stuff. And, the big is always down low by himself. That's one thing. And just really just attacking us on pick and roll, stringing us out and finding guys on the perimeter.
Yeah, pick and roll tonight. Obviously, they have two big front court players, Gobert and Whiteside. What made them so difficult tonight?
No idea. I mean, it was just tough. And all in all, it was just really tough. Something that we could have fixed, but at the time, it really just didn't fall into place like we needed it to.
And I don't know if we'll talk to you tomorrow for practice, but you got another tough challenge coming up with Nikola Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what stands out about that matchup for you?
Just come ready to play. It's the main thing. He's physical. He does a lot of things for a guy his size that, you rarely see in a 5-man. So really just stepping up to the challenge and, not letting him do the things that he's comfortable with doing, which is going to be hard, but night in, night out, I come out to play ball, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try my best to do whatever it takes to help us win the game.
I asked Coach West this as well, but how would you describe the team's identity right now?
Trying to figure it out. There's ups and downs. We have a lot of obstacles in our way, and we're trying to get over that. And we got to take it one day at a time. We're working as a team to figure the things out and get us back to the position to where we were when we were having fun playing, instead of having a lot of frustration on the floor.
Right. So what do you think? What do you think it should be, I guess?
For sure, high energy. What you saw in the first half tonight. That's what it should be.
Josh?
When Kuz can't play, what does the team miss from him?
I mean, Kuz is a high scorer. He comes out and he plays with high energy night in, night out. He's a shooter. And for sure, one piece that was missing, I mean, he comes in and he rebounds and he plays hard night in, night out. He plays hard for the time that he's in. Whenever he gets out, he tries his best to really just keep himself loose to where he can get back on the floor and do the things that he do good.
I know that all games are equally important, but given that this is going to be a 4-game road trip, followed by 2 more on the road, is there a sense that this is a very important road trip?
Yeah, for sure. All 4 games.
What makes it stand out in that regard, Gaff?
I mean, we're going to play a lot of great teams. This is the league, so every team we go out and play, they're going to have guys that are going to come out on the floor and they're going to try to put us away early or late, or whatever instance. So we just have to come out and play night in, night out. It's going to be a tough road trip, but we can do it. I have faith in this team. I've never, I would say, not had faith in this team. From the beginning to the end, I'm going to stand behind my guys and I'm going to tell them, come out, we can beat whoever. We just got to play like it.
Thank you, Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Neil?
Hey, Daniel, when you're describing the frustration that the team has right now, how is that, trying to be communicated or voiced in the locker room that, okay, we're going through this now, but, we need to fight through it together?
I mean, it's a long game, you know. We always come in the locker room and say we have another 24 on the clock. We can either figure it out now or we're going to get our ass kicked later. Plain and simple.
And I guess, is there anybody after this loss that is speaking up that's saying, hey, we need to turn this around, or is it kind of just, quiet and everybody understands the assignment?
Oh, no, for sure. We got a lot of guys in the locker room to talk, whether it's me, which is rare. I just kind of sit there and let the vets do most of the talking. But, Brad talks, KCP talks, Trez talks, and whoever really just has anything on their mind or on their chest, and they come in and they let it be known, whether it's we need to figure out the frustration or figure out what's going on or, little things like that, or if it's just positive. That's the main thing. So either or, we have a lot of positive talk throughout the locker room, whether we have a lot of frustration or not.
Thanks, Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it, Gaff. Thank you.
Yeah.
We will get started with in-person questions.
Brad, Wes kind of mentioned as much, but in the second half, what do you feel like was the primary issue? Wes said something about mentality again, kind of the same thing you guys have been seeing or dealing with.
First, I want to praise my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. It's kind of tough to pinpoint, honestly. And they were making a lot of shots. Kind of, it's like I don't know what it is. They just kind of wanted it a little bit more. I don't even know if that's even the right word to say because we were in the game, but they just made more plays. They were just more aggressive on both ends of the floor than we were. In the offense, I think we couldn't make shots and we turned the ball over too much.
How are you personally kind of processing and making sense of what seems like to us, and maybe it's different to you, like a pretty drastic flip from the incredibly strong starts to the inconsistencies of late, I guess?
I mean, we're still trying to pinpoint it, It's a work in progress, and obviously we didn't have Kuz tonight. That kind of may or may not have thrown Witham off, but regardless, it's kind of been like that all year for us, so that shouldn't have phased us. But at the same time, it's not really just one thing that we pinpointed on. We all individually got to be better, and collectively we gotta be there for the next man. Help the helper, especially on defense. We gotta be a lot better. We gotta communicate better, and we just gotta make shots. We really gotta make shots. So it's a little bit of everything. It's kind of everything mixed into the pot of why we're kind of going down this little struggle route. But I think they're all fixable. They're all things we can control more or less. Our effort plays, our energy, boxing out, rebounding, not turning the ball over, shooting with confidence. Those are things we can control. So I think we just focus on those things, we'll be okay.
What goes through your mind when you hear the news about Kuz this morning?
It's tough. I mean, it's a whirlwind. Obviously, you pray for his health and wish nothing's crazy and it's the false positive. But if he ends up having COVID, you definitely you wish no ill will on him and that he's able to come back healthy. And obviously, you start thinking about teammates and the contact tracing and everything of that nature. So it's weird because I didn't know if I was going to play tonight. I just knew for sure that being who I am, and being unvaxxed, and then what happened last year, I thought for sure I wasn't going to play. You remember?
The contact tracing?
Yeah, just from contact tracing. So to hear that, everything was cool, and they were going to retest a few guys, that was all right, but it's definitely something we gotta keep our eye on moving forward. The league COVID is spreading again, so we all got to be safe and do our due diligence of making sure we do the right thing.
The trajectory of this team has kind of paralleled the play of Spencer Dinwiddie and Montrezl Harrell. They were great to start the season, been a little bit less consistent lately. What do you think has been different about those two guys?
In all fairness, Chase, I've been shitty all year, so I'm not even going to sit here and talk about two other guys who've really been helping our team out. So I'll put that on me before them. I have to be better. I have to lead better. I have to produce and lead this team like I want to. So Trez and Spence will be fine. I think we gotta give Spence more opportunities to work, kind of let him go, and we're kind of pushing him to go because we need him. You know, we need him to attack and be aggressive. And Trez the same thing. We got to get Trez the ball more. You know, we got his energy. We feed off of that. You know, we can't just have him just running up and down the floor, not touching it, run up and down the floor. You know, he's competing with some big bigs, you know, so we got to help him out, rebounds on defense, pick and roll coverages. Like, it's a lot, you know, we can just pinpoint offense all we want, but there's a lot more to the game that we can be better and help them two out at, for sure. But it starts with me. It doesn't, you know, I got to be better.
I guess on a related note, you know, I think it was after the last game, you talked about the turnovers and you said especially you got to be better at turnovers. And I think he had 6 tonight. Just what has what has been the issue for you turning the ball over this year?
I mean, it's an adjustment. I mean, getting used to knowing where we're supposed to be in our spots, you know, kind of making passes that aren't there. Sometimes I get caught dribbling in between too many guys. And it's an adjustment, you know. Heck, sometimes we don't catch the ball, and I can't, you know, I can be mad at that. Heck, I don't catch the ball all the time either. So I mean, it's turnovers happen, you know. As long as I'm always a firm believer, and as long as they're aggressive turnovers and not kind of careless and, you know, just whatever turnovers that lead to points, you know, I think we're okay. But obviously, we don't want any turnovers. But I mean, we're humans; they're going to happen. But they should be aggressive more than anything.
And what have you noticed about how teams attack your defense now compared to early this season?
Well, they attack it with a purpose. That's for sure. You know, they really exploit our matchups. You know, they do a lot of, you know, kind of, you know, pointing out who they want to go one-on-one against, because we switch a lot. So a lot of that is predicated on our one-on-one defense and our pride in that. And we all got to be better. We got to help the next man. And you know, whoever's probably not our best defender on the floor, we have to make sure that we're talking, communicating, and trying to get the ball out of like Mitch hands, you know. So I think that's a big area that hurts us on defense. You know, we got to be better one-on-one, and then it's tough because when us guards don't guard the ball, keep the ball in front of us, you know, that puts a lot of pressure on our bigs to make a decision whether to step up. They step up, that's a lob automatically, you know. So it's tough. We got, as guards, we got to be better keeping the ball in front of us, and putting a lot of pressure on the bigs on the backside.
Gaff mentioned energy as something that team can improve, and I think you just did it as well. How do you do that? How do you create that?
That's a great question. But I mean, I think it honestly starts individually. You know, day by day basis, you wake up and you come to work, and you know, the objective is to get better. You know, how can we get better? And you push your teammates to be better and get better. And then ultimately, you got to remember that this game is fun. You know, I think sometimes we lose sight of that. You know, it's definitely a business. It's definitely our career, our life. You know, but this is fun. You know, we played this game when we were younger. You know, to enjoy it. We had a passion about it. I think that's what we got to get back to. You know, get back to the fun, the energetic part of it. Like, energy is just feel good. You know, feel good can't just be making shots. You know, feel good has to be, you know, your body feels good, your mental is right. You're ready to go. You know, you're just excited for the moment. You're just being the moment. You know, I think we got to just get back to having fun, being passionate about the game. And I think that'll propel our energy in the right direction.
I was going to ask you about that after you mentioned kind of finding the joy and where you are in finding the joy and how much harder that is to do when you're losing.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, we were 15, 12 now. I mean, so I mean, we still have a solid record. You know, we're not kicking ourselves in the foot, but you know, we got to eliminate the bad habits, for sure. But this league, you never get too high, never get too low. I would think I would say that should be our approach to it. You know, because it's easy to just fall into the trap of, you know, only being joyful when things are going right for you. You know, and life isn't like that. You know, so you really have to learn to excel. Okay, it's a bad game, it's not your night, but okay, what else can you contribute? You know, what else can you do to impact the game? You know, as long as it impacts winning, you know, you should feel great about that. And I think we all have that within us, and I think we all definitely kind of think like that in a way. But I think we talked about it last game. Like sometimes we all want to make the big play. We all want to do well. And sometimes it ends up not being a big play. And it's not necessarily a selfish thing, but everybody wants to do well. Everybody wants to get the play right. Everybody wants to contribute. So it's kind of figuring it out. It's figuring it out. But the joy of it, nobody should ever take the joy from you. This is something that God blessed you with. And it's only 450 of us. People are going to hate you. People are going to love you. But you're one of 450, so understand that, take advantage of it, but understand that to whom much is given, much is expected too. So it's a lot that comes with the territory, but joy should never be taken from us. Yeah.
Josh,
Brad, we know that you are your own toughest critic. How are you handling your frustration with what you perceive to be your own play?
I'm not too hard on. I'm hard on myself, but I'm not driving myself mad. The ball will fall in eventually, and the player will definitely be where I want it to be. But I just keep pushing. It's a day by day thing. So now this game's over, we move on to Denver. And it's an adjustment for sure. We're still learning things on the fly. Teams are still going to run 2-3 guys at me. So it's still going to be, an adjustment every game, every night. It's going to be tough. So I just stay confident in myself and continue to stay on my routine, continue to play hard, and continue to incorporate and create for my teammates if my stuff isn't going. Continue to guard best I can and let that propel my game. It's totally different than last year. And I think that's what I want everybody to kind of just stop thinking about. Like, it's a totally different team, different dynamic, granted that bar is set high, and I have goals to achieve that, but at the same time, it's a work in progress. It is a work for sure.
You anticipated my next question. Thank you. How much different is the way these teams are going after you with their defense and bringing more pressure to you than they did, as you said, last year?
It's tough because every team is different. Some teams switch, some teams double, some teams just sit in the drop. Some teams load up the paint and force you to kick it out. So I think it's honestly, kind of figuring out how to manipulate the defenses and figuring out how I can get my game off. But at the same time, how I can create for my teammates, because if I'm getting doubled and tripled and defenses are loaded, somebody has to be open. So a lot of times it's me with a hockey assist. It's me making the pass that leads to, the shot. So, and I'm fine with those situations. If teams want to double me, that's fine. I'll get off it and, trust other guys to make plays. And, but it's definitely that's a work too. We're figuring out ways and plays that we can implement to keep teams from doubling, keep teams from top side, and keep teams from kind of junking up the game a little bit. And it's we're trying to figure it out. We threw some plays in over the last couple of days that work, and some quick hitters that keep teams off their guard. And it's tough against set defenses. I think that's another thing too. We got to get out and transition a little bit more, play a little bit faster. I think that'll free up everybody for sure.
Thank you, Brad.
last question, Neil.
Hey, Brad, on a non-game note, what did you think of Rui getting everybody watches, and how do you think that maybe, helps him integrate himself to a team where there are a lot of new faces?
Rui was Secret Santa this year. He got us some nice G-Shocks. Courtesy of his little deals he has, the infinite amount that he has. But no, Rui, it's always great to be able to have him around. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's traveling with us on this trip. So, it's just good that I always said at the beginning of the year, like, we just want you around. Like, it's good to just have him around, see him work out, learning the plays, trying to, get used to being around his teammates. Like, it's definitely uplifting. You definitely, obviously, we still want him to take his time. When he's ready, he's ready. But you know, it's definitely exciting news to be able to see him back with us for sure.
Thanks, Brad.
That's it, Brad. Thank you for your time.
No problem. Thank you guys.